Hello everyone, my name is Festus Jackson and I'm thrilled to talk about a topic that keeps Namibian teachers and leaders up at night. That is maybe perhaps controversial, but I think it has to be addressed. Even though this is an assignment, I think this is also an opportunity where each and every student can also express their general view, especially those that are in the educational sector, about some of the key challenges that they have to face. And my topic of interest today is to talk about how educational leaders, experts, and educators themselves, how they have to make decisions with limited resources. Here, sort of to tackle and critically talk about matters that influence teachers' decisions uh, given on the available resources that are there. Now, the first thing here, we need to look at the educational landscape of Namibia in general. Let's paint a picture. Imagine a school in the rural areas of Ohangwena, okay? And I just thought of Ohangwena. I'm not saying Ohangwena is a bad school. It's a bad region, but I'm thinking of Ohangwena. So you think of a rural school that is in Ohangwena, and you look at the number of the kids or the students that are attending there, and also the type of classroom that they are attending in. Look at the class door. There, it's made out of zinc plate or maybe corrugated iron. The classroom walls, same story, corrugated iron. The classroom roof, corrugated iron. What are the effects? Namibia is a very hot country, and we know that for certain. And trust me, those kids are in there burning as a microwave, given also the high number that is there. So now, how does an educational expert or an educator has to tackle making decisions that are maybe perhaps influenced by the limited resources that are there, just so that they can have a conducive environment for these pupils that are in the classroom? How then? That is a topic of interest that I'll be sharing with you guys today. Now, what are some of the key challenges? Of course, I touched on classroom available resources. Okay, so here we are talking about the infrastructure that is within the classroom, the furniture. This is the chairs and the desks. The chairs and the desks themselves are not even able to accommodate the number of pupils that are there. That is the first thing. And secondly, maybe those chairs have only been in those classes, I think maybe 200 years, and then the kids have to come use them. I think maybe those chairs are just the ones for colonial era, and then they don't get replaced. So it's a matter of maintaining those resources that are there. Because now even if there are 200 chairs, only 5 are functional within that classroom. Because the rest are just, well, I just think they are just there to be called chairs, but broken chairs. Then you have the desks, same story. How does then a teacher having such a classroom, how can they then make decisions that can influence these students to sit comfortably in a classroom that is having limited resources to actually have a conducive environment? That is what we are trying to understand in this lecture for today. How do we as educational leaders have to decide now on how we can make classrooms better for students, but we don't have resources on our side? Then we have another second challenge, which is overcrowdedness. What's on paper is one teacher to 30 learners. That is what is on paper. And they usually draft these papers under, while they are in the offices, and then there's an air conditioner. But if you get on ground, unfortunately that is not the case. Practically speaking, and the most common observation that you'll be coming across is you entering a class as a teacher, and you have about 50 students, more than 50 students in a classroom. Mind you, you already have infrastructure, the furniture in there is not accommodating them, and you yourself as a teacher, given the limited time also, and also the huge syllabus content that you have to give, and also the demanding competencies that require so much attention from you and effort so that you can give those children for you to make them understand a certain topic or a certain competency according to the syllabus. How then you as a decision maker, as a teacher, have to navigate your way around this. That is the second thing. And the other thing is teacher dilemmas. Okay, this is now where teachers have to decide on which learner gets the available science kits. Say maybe the learners have to do a science fair and they have to be maybe shown some certain things that involve a science kit. Teachers now have to be in a position where they only have one science kit and they have 5 classrooms that they teach. Now they have to decide which classroom gets the observation or the practical hands-on observation with the science kit itself. And then the teachers are now, they're not like in between. They are not certain which classroom is it. You are now there wondering what you are supposed to be doing when you're in that situation. Now, let's look at the decision making in practical sense. What do educators then do if they find themselves in that setting, in the Namibian style? First, we have a floating classroom. Floating classroom, basically a teacher has a period, but they has like a lesson, but they do not have a fixed classroom where those students or learners come and attend to them. They have to go around the school trying to pinpoint which class is open, maybe use a period of a teacher that is off so that they can, use that classroom. Then we have textbook tactics. Textbook tactics is like some schools have sort of developed this textbook custody system whereby learners have to like sign out. If they collect a book from a library, they have to sign out. They have to sign it out and put their details there. I took what book and what not. Like it's some like rare artifacts. This is just because they are limited resources. Now there is like a tactic and a system that is made for students to make sure that they return whatever they have taken. And trust me, their detective style here is better than the Namibian police one. You as a student or a learner, you lose a textbook that you took from the library and you have signed out. It's just in 3 seconds you be got. Then you have mattress management. This has to apply to schools, basically the ones that have hostels. Okay, so a principal has to decide if they happen to find out they have like old mattresses. So how do they then make like the setting for the students much more comfortable when they go sleep before they go tackle some mathematical algebraic equations? How then does the principal have to decide, okay, how are these learners going to sleep? Or how are these learners going to be arranged with only 5 mattresses that are going to cater for 20 students? Okay, so the best thing that they usually do is stacking up old mattresses, old ones on top of the new ones. Let me rephrase that. Old mattresses under and new ones on top, just so that they can, have that cushioning that is much more comfortable for students. What drives this decision? Now, what drives these decisions? We have resource allocation. With limited funds, leaders as teachers, they have to prioritize. It's either building new classrooms or repair those classrooms. You understand? It's either more textbooks or more chairs. Everything has a trade-off when it comes to that decision. Then we have accountability and leadership. The system isn't always the problem. The system is not always the problem. But the problem sometimes is how the resources are being managed. Strong leadership means engaging with real issues on the ground. Then we have community engagement. Community engagement, now this is where parents voluntarily, assist the school for its upkeep. There is a voluntary fee that they either have to contribute, and though it's labeled as voluntary, it's a bit quite controversial and it's not something that all parents sit comfortably with, but let's just stick to the positive side today. The voluntary amount that they have to give is sort of an amount that is there to cater for the needs of the student, either buying needs for the school to run every day, buying things like ink, the rims just so that they can print. Another thing is we really need to be honest. As Namibian educators, I feel, and this is not just because I'm an educator, it's something that I'm seeing. I feel Namibian educators are some of the wisest or the most innovative educators out there. And if, giving awards to the best creative educators out in the world would be an Olympic game, Namibian teachers will be sweeping out gold every single day. I ain't gonna lie. Think about it. How do you turn a broken chalkboard into a window? Hmm? How do you use a single soccer ball, just one single soccer ball, for both activities, which is either an equipment for teaching or an equipment for physics? Think about it. Now, to conclude, we have to move something towards that is fair when it comes to decision making. Now, decision making in Namibia isn't just about choosing between A and B. It's about navigating a maze where the walls have to move. The floors give away and the map is written with an invincible ink. But with a strong leadership, community involvement, and the willingness to innovate. Even if it means laughing at our own challenges, we make choices that move forward. Thank you for joining me in this journey, and hopefully that covers all the content that is needed and also is tasked by the assignment. My name is Festus Jackson, signing out. Ciao.